Hello, I'm Dan.
And I'm Maria.
And we are married.
We're worship leaders.
And we've been leading worship together for over 10 years.
We want to bring people together to experience the love of Christ.
And we do that through leading worship,
creating songs and music,
and through videos just like this one. So today we want to talk about running successful rehearsals.
What makes a good rehearsal good or a bad rehearsal bad? You know, what we really recommend is that you should have midweek rehearsals. We believe it is one of the most impactful things, and we know that sometimes people can't do that, but it really will bring your team to the next level, don't you think?
Yeah, you can do, the like Sunday morning before service thing, and that's okay. But we found that when we've been able to have a consistent weekly rehearsal, that has really made a big difference in not only the ability of everybody to play, and maybe you've got great players, but playing together is different than playing alone. And sometimes you can get, solid with a recording, but it's different in the moment, and maybe you want to do something different, and maybe, something isn't working, you want to change it. Those midweek rehearsals are a great place to kind of work all that out, and even do things like write songs or come up with some new ways to play some old songs. I would always recommend to push for midweek rehearsals. Try to make the time. So without further ado, here are our top 10 rehearsal tips. We're gonna go from 10 to 1 and kind of in order of importance, but that's pretty vague. So number 10 is define success. What that means is, what do you want to accomplish with this rehearsal? Are you learning a new song? Are you tightening up old songs? Are you writing? What's your goal? And kind of defining that, because otherwise I think sometimes we can get together, play some music, and then go home and feel like, well, what do we really do? And there's nothing worse, I think, for people than feeling like their time has been wasted. We're like, I showed up, I was ready, and we didn't do anything. We never accomplished anything. So I think defining success is really important going in to say, especially for you as the leader, what do I want out of this? What am I looking for by the end of it? And then you can kind of define, did we do it? Did we not do it? That's really important.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think each week is going to be different, maybe, or maybe every month it'll be different of what you're going to define as your success. What is your goal that you're trying to achieve? And that you can determine how well those rehearsals are going by. Another thing is number 9, be prepared.
Be prepared.
So as the worship leader, there are higher expectations.
Yeah, there's a higher bar that you really should be setting for yourself.
Right, so that means you need to be prepared. You need to already have that set list out to your band members before that midweek rehearsal. Don't be sending it to them an hour beforehand, same day, whatever it might be.
Learn these 2 songs. See you in half an hour.
Yeah, don't do that. You are not going to have a successful rehearsal if your band members are just hearing about these songs. And then that also means that you need to be prepared, which means you have to show up early to the practice and make sure all your stuff is ready, because like Dan said, you don't want to waste people's time.
Those times when things don't work out well and you're kind of like rushing around and you're like, hey, sorry guys, we'll start in just a couple minutes. Make those the exception and not the rule.
Right.
That can happen sometimes, and that's okay. But don't be every single week. Everybody knows, I can get there 15 minutes late because nothing's going to be ready. And that means being prepared musically. It means you've got the song memorized. You know the chords. You have the melody down. You know the words. This is never the time. Rehearsal is never the time to learn the song from the beginning. You want to have a certain amount of comfort with it going in. That's what home practice is for. But as the leader, think about, you've got to pay attention to what everybody else is doing and make sure everybody else is doing what they need to do and fix any issues and solve any problems. If you're concerned about remembering what the words are or trying to figure out what chords you're going to play, then that detracts from your main, your main role and your main goal, which is making sure the band sounds good. And if you're in the band, come prepared as well. And don't be the person showing up, listening on your phone while practice is going on to figure out what you're supposed to play.
Right.
Learn all that stuff beforehand. All right, so number 8 is set expectations. What that means is you want to, when you're sending out those songs for that rehearsal, set your expectations. Say, this is what we're going to try to accomplish. So people know coming in, okay, this is how it's going to go. So maybe for your rehearsal for this week, okay, this week we're going to have a vocal rehearsal and we're going to have a concurrent, that means at the same time, band rehearsal, and then we're going to come together and do the song. That when people come in, they know, oh, there's the singers, we're gonna get together and start practicing, and the bands start, and they know coming in what to expect and know what's gonna happen next. Nothing's worse than thinking you're done and then starting a whole nother section that you didn't know was gonna happen, right? Have you ever been in those situations? It's frustrating. Set the expectations. This is how long we're gonna go. This is what time we're gonna be done. This is what time you need to be ready to start playing. Not there, but ready to start playing, because depending on what you have to play, it can take you some time to get set up. So set those expectations so there's no surprises.
Yeah, I think that if you're saying this rehearsal is going to be 1 hour, that's what you do. You're going to honor and respect the time of your band members, which means that's why you really need to set those expectations so those people know you have to be here at 7 o'clock already set up and ready to go so we can start practice at 7 so we get done at 8. Yeah. Because if not everyone's on the same page, then you're not going to start till 7:30. Now you have 30 minutes and if you're going to go an hour from there, now it's 8:30 or 9 or whatever it is. And the people that were there on time get frustrated. Clear communication is going to help you so much with rehearsal.
Definitely.
Number 7 is spend time in prayer and worship together. You might be saying, we don't have a lot of time already. Trust me, if you take 5 minutes, even 5 minutes at the beginning of your practice, you come together and you pray together, free worship together, and you just are able to just let go whatever that week has been, that day has been. There is going to be a connection that happens between you and your band members, and you are going to see a much more successful practice, even if it is shorter, because that presence of God, not that it's not already there, but you've just welcomed it in, you've invited it in, and now you guys are connecting in a whole nother level. Maybe your band member needs prayer for something. You're able to just pray with them right there and be like, we're standing with you. I just know it has changed our rehearsals drastically. So I really encourage you, 5 minutes at least, spend time in prayer and worship with your band.
Make that 5 minutes prayer time together, not just somebody praying like over the rehearsal. Not that that's bad or wrong, but I just feel like that's kind of a minimum. If you're just like, all right, God bless this rehearsal, help us have a good time, bless the food, in Jesus' name, amen. But when you kind of have some time, hey, let's all pray together. Let's all kind of step down off of our instruments maybe and pray, or maybe let's, spend time worshiping with our instruments, just worshiping outside of the stage environment, maybe backstage, maybe down in the sanctuary, doing something that's a little more focused. I think sometimes we can do the like token prayer. Like we prayed, we got it out of the way. Now we can move on to the real business.
Don't make it religious. Don't make it a religious thing. Yeah. All
right. Number 6 is be picky. What does that mean? So I've struggled with this in the past, where I will be playing through the song and I'll kind of hear something weird, right? Something is a little bit off, and I'll just it kind of fixes itself, and I just kind of let it float on by, and then I forget about it. Maybe it's the beginning of the song, and then we do the song again, and I hear it again. Then we do the song again, I hear it again, and I never actually address it. I think rehearsal, this is what it's for, right? Let's go through and make sure that any problem spots let's go over them slower. Let's go over them with just the instruments. Let's go over them with just the guitars. Let's figure out what's going on. And don't be afraid to, if something isn't sounding, exactly the way you want it to sound, to say, hey, we need to change that. Maybe somebody's playing a part and it's not quite the same as the recording, and you really want it to be like the recording, or it's not really working. Just his tempo isn't quite right, or the tuning isn't quite right, or something's off. Don't be afraid to call those things out. That's what rehearsal is for.
Being able to communicate with your band members and be like, listen, I can't have you get upset right now. I need you to play this the way that it needs to be played. It's not being mean.
Right.
It's just setting, like we said, an expectation. We want to bring our best when we're doing worship.
And definitely don't be passive aggressive about it.
Right.
Go talk to the person. In fact, the best thing you can do is go talk to them one-on-one. If you're in the mic like, hey, guitar player, you're playing that wrong every single time, that can be a little bit hard for people to take. But if you walk over and say, hey, it sounds like something's a little off in this part, let's go over it really quick together, or something like that, that can be a lot easier to take and prevent some of the hurt feelings.
So it brings us to number 5. Stay positive.
Yes.
This is something that I struggle with. That's why I have him. And we work well together when it comes to our rehearsals, because I tend to be, we're both pretty picky, but Dan is better at expressing it. So I usually just give him the look like,
something was wrong there.
Yeah. Come on, you've all done it, so don't judge me. But then Dan is always really good about staying positive in your rehearsal. As much as you might want to explode or point out all the faults, or maybe you've had a bad day and you want to be super negative, stay positive, because it is going to affect your practice. It's going to affect your band members and the people around you. So, stay positive, try to be encouraging. So say you do have a moment where you're like, point out something you want to be fixed. Maybe a little while later, what are you going to do? You're going to say, hey, that sounded so good when you played this. Oh, and this song, that was amazing. And hey, backup singer, I loved when you did this harmony. It was so good. Just stay positive. Really try to point out the positive things that people are doing, because remember, they've taken their time. A lot of people that we work with volunteer their time. So just remember that and try to stay positive.
And, keep it fun. I think rehearsal really needs to be fun. Obviously there's going to be work. Obviously there's times where it's not going to be maybe the thing you'd most like to be doing in that moment, but trying to find ways to keep it fun, keep it light when you need to. I think those things make a big difference in how people leave rehearsal feeling and how likely they are to come back next week. Because sometimes people be like, hey, I can't make it. Hey, I can't make it again.
Yeah.
I can't make it again or I don't want to play anymore with you because you're not fun to be around. And those rehearsals are just a grind and I can't do it anymore. My life's, a grind enough.
For sure.
All right, number 4 is record it. And we actually have a whole video about this that we'll put a link for in the description. But I think one of the ways that you can have a great rehearsal is by recording it, video recording it, or audio recording it, and then listening back to it. Because sometimes, like I said before, if you're leading the band and you're trying to think about, okay, what are they playing? What are they playing? What am I playing? How is it supposed to sound? It can be really hard to tell what it's sounding like from the front of house. And maybe you got a great sound guy and they can tell you, but it's always better to hear it for yourself. Because somebody can say, hey, the bass sounds a little funky. And you're like, what does that mean? Define funky.
Right.
Is that good funky? Is that bad funky? Is it too much bass, too little bass? What's going on? But when you hear it, now you can kind of say, oh, I know how to fix that. Or now I know what that sounds like. I can hear when that happens and I can change it. But it's a really powerful tool.
I think that it's so good because maybe you're just like, I don't want to bring up again something else that someone else is doing, and you're just having one of those moments. You have it recorded, you just send it to everybody, and you're hoping that they're going to hear it.
Yeah.
But no, the thing is that it really does help you grow, because your band members are all going to be listening to it. They're going to hear, oh, maybe I should tweak this here, or I should do this here. But recording it really does help you. So go check out our other video. Number 3 is stay humble. We're gonna mess up as worship leaders just as much as the next guy, just as much as your band members, you're gonna mess up too. And so the whole thing is that you need to be honest and be able to stay humble and be like, you know what? I totally messed up right there. I cannot remember the chords. I cannot remember the words. Or that song, I sounded horrible. We need to go over it again. I'm so sorry. The truth is, we're with band members that are better than us.
All the time.
All the
Usually.
time. Yeah, and just being able to be honest, like, hey, I don't remember what chord this is. Can you help me out? And usually people are so willing to just be helpful, and it's amazing. We have played with people that are 10 times better than us, and there is something that is so great when you're able to humbly come and say, hey, can you help me out with this part? I don't know how to sing this. I don't know how to play this.
Yeah.
We've worked with so many amazing musicians that are just, yeah, sure. Oh, it's just this. And they just tell you, and it just creates a connection that I don't think you would have normally.
Yeah, I think sometimes we feel like because I'm the leader, I've got to always be right or always know what I'm talking about. And sometimes you're not. And sometimes you're going to think you know what you're talking about and you're going to be wrong. And that's okay. One of the things that I've learned is to approach things instead of saying, no, this is what it is, saying, hey, I think it might be this. What do you think? Because then I don't look like an idiot when I'm wrong. And I've learned that because I've looked like an idiot when I'm being wrong all the time. And so I've had to say, you know what, instead of being so hard-headed about it and saying, no, this is, because sometimes you'll have, like, I think it's this chord. I think it's this chord. And I can be like, no, it's absolutely this chord. And then later on, I realize, oh no, I was wrong. They were right.
That's the worst.
But if I learn how to stay humble, that can become a much less embarrassing experience than, if I'm, super like stubborn about it, and then later on I've got to eat humble pie. I can just kind of stay humble originally, and then I'm all good.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Number 2 is don't fear change, or don't be afraid to go to plan B. What that means is you might be in rehearsal and you're working on a new song and you're playing it and the band's playing it, and you know what? It's just not working. You kind of have this feeling that like maybe you're like, maybe this isn't the right song for us to do this Sunday after all. Don't be afraid to be like, hey, you know what, guys? I know I set expectations. I know we were all prepared, but I just feel like this isn't working. We're gonna move on to something else. We're gonna change this song.
Right.
I think this is one of the great examples of why having a midweek rehearsal is better than a Sunday morning rehearsal, because you can have that time to go to plan B without it being, this isn't working, but we've got 10 minutes till service starts and we gotta do something.
We have to still do it.
I guess we're gonna do it, and you just power through, and you're like the whole time like, this is the wrong song, this isn't working, this sounds bad, and people are staring at you. You ever get one of these kind of looks, you're leading worship, and people are like, what is going on? One of the great things that I love about plans is that they're not set in stone, right? If you have a plan, cool, but that doesn't mean the plan is now the Bible, right? The Bible doesn't change. Your plans can change and probably should change, more often than you think that they should.
It can be so easy to get kind of set in, and you're like, no, we have to do this song because this is what I put in planning center, or this is what I sent to my band, and I don't want to look like the person who changed the song. Last minute, it makes me look weak. It doesn't, okay? And you can even consult.
Don't show weakness in front of the band.
You can consult with your band. That's what we've done before. We're saying,
hey, what do you guys think?
Hey, what do you guys think of this song? Do you feel like it's working for us? And they might say, no, it's not. It's just better to push it off a week or two, or say, maybe we'll try this song again next week, next month. And
that's part of being prepared, is having a plan B. Having a backup plan, especially for example, doing a new song, and you haven't done it before, and you're not sure how it's gonna go, having, okay, if this song doesn't go well in rehearsal, this is the song we're gonna go to. This is one we've done a bunch of times and it's gonna be fine. Having a plan B is part of being prepared.
Number 1 is build relationship. I struggle with it. He does not. He is obviously the more relational, but we try our best. We really do help each other out. And it really will change your rehearsals. If you know what, your drummer is going through, and you're like, hey man, I'm praying for you. Hey girl, I know this has been a rough week. Connecting with them during the week, connecting with them that month and saying, hey, instead of practice this week, we're gonna all go out and do something together. You need to build relationship, because if your band members don't feel connected to you, then it's gonna come across. Because if you just show up every week, you don't know anything that's going on in anyone's life, oh, don't care, whatever, let's go, do the songs, let's go, okay, bye guys, see you on Sunday. Your band members actually won't wanna stay. They probably will fall off, and you'll have a lot of replacements and a lot of turnover, because they're thinking to themselves, why? What am I getting out of this? I don't even know these people, so I don't have a connection. I'm not gonna feel bad if I just don't show up.
A famous worship leader has said that the hang time, the hangout time, is just as important as the rehearsal time, where your ability as a band to gel together and mesh together and just click together and just have fun together and joke around together, those times are really underrated. And like Maria said, maybe it means taking some time saying, hey, tonight, we're just gonna hang out and talk, and I'm gonna get some pizzas, and we're gonna, play some board games or something. But just finding a way to build that camaraderie and that morale, among your band is really powerful. And I know it can. For those of you that are more task-oriented and more kind of, to-do list driven, it may feel like we're just wasting time. It kind of reminds me of the prayer worship time, where it feels like we're not doing anything, but in reality, it's setting you up to succeed in so many other areas. You build relationship with your team, talk together, hang out together, laugh together, jam together, where you're just playing music. Those things can be huge in how your band kind of comes together and how everybody feels about coming together. Maybe the rehearsal is a lot easier to get people to come to when they have fun together than it is when it's kind of a drudgery kind of thing.
And knowing how to communicate to each of your band members, because all of them might communicate differently, and being able to communicate at their level or where they're at or how they communicate the best is what you need to know. So we really just encourage you to build those relationships.
So thanks so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it and you like, some more of these videos, if you think, I'd like to see more of this, definitely, subscribe. We'd love to connect with you every single week. We try to do one of these videos every single week. Definitely check us out on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Let us know. Yeah, what would you like to hear a video about? Or do you have questions about any of these things? Or is there a situation you're like, hey, I'm dealing with this in my rehearsals. How do I solve this? We'd love to be able to help.
Please, we will comment back. We want to know. Our heart is to, be able to help you gain wisdom and knowledge on all of these things.
For sure. We'll see you next week.
Bye.